Mr. Speaker, I think last week I was overly rude, and I apologise.
Imagine standing face to face with someone who treats you as though you don't exist. That, in essence, captures the unnerving air surrounding Keir Starmer. It's not loud arrogance or overt hostility, it's the quiet, dismissive kind. The kind that cuts deeper because it's so deliberate. Starmer doesn't need to raise his voice or engage in fiery exchanges to show disdain. Instead, he simply disregards. A blank stare here, a silent smirk there. It's a subtle but unmistakable gesture that says your opinion, your question, even your presence, doesn't matter. Ask him something genuine, and the response isn't engagement, it's detachment. Challenge him with facts, and you'll get that piercing, vacant look, as though your words vanish before they even reach him. Mention public frustration, and there's often that faint, knowing chuckle, the kind that implies it's all beneath him. This isn't merely about sidestepping tough questions, it's about something more troubling, a quiet contempt for scrutiny itself. It reveals a mindset that seems to regard dissent, or even dialogue, as an inconvenience rather than a democratic necessity. And here lies the irony. That same aloofness, that refusal to engage, doesn't elevate him, it isolates him. Because leadership built on detachment doesn't inspire confidence, it breeds resentment. And sooner or later, that silent disregard he shows others begins to echo back, eroding the very credibility he seeks to project. Before we continue, a quick note: if you find this analysis valuable, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Now, let's go deeper into what this pattern of behaviour reveals about the man leading Britain's opposition.
Double Roberts.
This Prime Minister once spoke of compassion and dignity for migrants and for defending free movement. Now he talks of islands of strangers and taking back control. Somebody here has to call this out, Mr. Speaker. It seems the only principle he consistently defends is whichever he last heard in a focus group. So I ask him, is there any belief he holds which survives a week in Downing Street?
Yes, the belief that she talks rubbish. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I want to lead a country where we pull together and walk into the future as neighbours and as communities, not as strangers. And the loss of control of migration by the last government put all of that at risk. And that's why we're fixing the system based on principles of control, selection.
That moment wasn't just a political stumble, it was a public unravelling. When confronted with a direct challenge to his own integrity, Keir Starmer didn't rise with composure, clarity, or conviction. Instead, he reached for the lowest rung of political defence, a sneering retort. The kind of hollow jab you deliver when the argument has already slipped through your fingers. Rather than leading with logic or principle, he resorted to condescension. What followed was a stream of polished but predictable rhetoric, words like unity, community, togetherness. Familiar, safe phrases that sound good in theory, but fall flat when coming from someone whose actions consistently contradict them. This is a man who once spoke of open movements and social justice, now fueling suspicion and fear of outsiders. A politician who once defended human dignity, now portraying migration as a burden. That isn't political evolution, it's capitulation, a calculated retreat from conviction in favour of convenience. And when pressed on it, instead of reasoned debate, he responds with that same smug dismissal. It's not a rebuttal, it's a deflection. The message is clear. In Starmer's world, if you're not echoing his line, you're beneath engagement. But here's the truth: that kind of arrogance doesn't signal confidence. It exposes weakness. It's the telltale mark of a leader more concerned with performance than principle, with applause lines over authenticity. This wasn't a debate, it was an unmasking, a glimpse of a politician so tightly bound to image management that he's lost sight of the people he claims to represent. Every smirk, every sidestep, every dismissive shrug only reinforces a growing perception among voters that he's detached, insincere, and ultimately unfit to lead. And make no mistake, this wasn't an isolated incident. It's part of a troubling pattern, one that Britain has seen before and one we'll examine next.
Over the weekend, I suggested to the Prime Minister that he cut the aid budget, and I'm pleased that he accepted my advice.
I'm going to have to let the Leader of the Opposition down gently. She didn't feature in my thinking at all. I was so busy over the weekend I didn't even see her proposal. I think she's appointed herself, saviour of the Western civilization. It's a desperate search for relevance.
When Keir Starmer casually admitted that she wasn't even on his radar, it wasn't a gaffe, it was a revealing glimpse into his mindset. That single remark exposed something deeper than political rivalry. It showed a leader so detached, so insulated within his own bubble, that the voices of others, particularly those who challenge him, simply fail to register. This wasn't composure under pressure. It was arrogance, thinly veiled as calm professionalism. A moment that could have demonstrated principle and maturity instead became a case study in condescension. Faced with a legitimate question, Starmer didn't engage. He dismissed it, reducing serious political discourse to an afterthought. That offhand, didn't think about it line said more than he intended. It dripped with disdain, the sort of reflexive put-down that reveals genuine contempt rather than strategic restraint. Because in that instant, his attitude was unmistakable. The question wasn't worth his time, and neither was the person asking it. True leadership demands curiosity, not contempt. It means hearing opposing viewpoints, weighing them carefully, and responding with respect, even when you disagree. Starmer did none of that. Instead, he brushed it aside, exposing a pattern that's becoming hard to ignore. It paints the picture of a politician increasingly isolated, out of touch, and unwilling to engage beyond the safe confines of scripted talking points. And when he doesn't have an answer, he doesn't pause or reflect, he simply ignores the question altogether.
Given the Prime Minister's desire to strengthen strategic alignment with our European neighbours, will he, in the interests of public safety, follow the lead of France, Denmark, Belgium and others and ban the burqa?
Prime Minister.
Can I welcome her to her place? But I'm not going to follow her down that line. But now she is here and safely in her place, perhaps she could tell her new party leader that his latest plan to bet £80 billion of unfunded tax cuts, he's no idea how he's going to pay for it, is Liz Truss all over again. Although, considering I think she was a Conservative member when Liz Truss was leader, she probably won't.
From Keir Starmer didn't really cut the mustard. I'm not going to follow her down that line. Other MPs, senior MPs, don't think that's the right answer. James Cleverly, the man who would be Prime Minister, would be a Tory leader, I should say, but for the behaviour of some MPs during the leadership election last summer, he said in terms that refusing to answer MPs' questions isn't an option as a government minister. Not saying he supports the ban, but have the debate, and that's what Sarah Perkins started.
And once again, he did exactly what he's become known for, dodging, deflecting and changing the subject the moment real scrutiny appears. It wasn't composure, it wasn't strategy. It was evasion, plain and simple. Here's the uncomfortable truth. That kind of silence isn't strength. It isn't calm leadership. It's condescension, a calculated form of dismissal that says, without words, asterisk, you're not worth my time, asterisk. And let's be clear, this wasn't a shouting match or a political ambush. The question came from the floor of Parliament, the very heart of British democracy, the one place where accountability should matter most. Yet, instead of engaging, Keir Starmer brushed it off, as if genuine inquiry were a nuisance beneath his office. That's not leadership. That's arrogance dressed in polished authority without empathy. It's become his signature manoeuvre. Don't like the question? Pretend it doesn't exist. Don't like the issue? Pivot to a safer talking point. Don't like the person raising it? Act as though they don't matter. But every time he does this, he's not just avoiding a headline, he's alienating the very people he claims to represent. Voters, communities, victims, concerned citizens, all of them are being told implicitly that their concerns don't count. And history shows what happens next. Those ignored voices get louder in Parliament, on the streets, and most decisively, at the ballot box. Because when a leader refuses to listen, the public eventually stops asking. They start voting differently. That's the real cost of evasion. You don't just lose an argument, you lose credibility, trust, and ultimately, respect. And once respect is gone, leadership soon follows.
True democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house. We demand a people's house. We are in crisis. We are in crisis. Our whole future is in jeopardy.
No. If he thinks that bothers me, he doesn't know me. Protest or power. That's why we changed our party conference. That's why we changed our party.